Welcome to How Now, the podcast where we talk about how to live in the now. And here's your host, Kim Martin-Raymond.
Peace, love, and light, and welcome to this edition of the How Now podcast, where we talk about how to live in the now. I am your host, Kim Martin-Raymond. I'm a minister, spiritual life coach, holistic nutritionist, author, and founder of Redefining You LLC, where I help my clients to realign themselves, mind, body, and spirit. And if this is your first time joining us, welcome to the How Now podcast. Make sure that you go to my website, www.hownowpodcast.com, pick your favorite podcast platform, and be sure to like, follow, share, and subscribe. You can also scroll to the bottom of the page and click on this week's banner for the show, and it will take you to the How Now YouTube channel, where you can like, follow, share, and subscribe. Check out a few of my playlists. One that I recommend is Tuesday, where I give a different scripture verse for the week for you to reflect on. And you can just find out what was going on past episodes that you may have missed and things that are going on in my now. So again, that's www.hownowpodcast.com. So let's get into this week's show, where we're going to be talking about things that I've explored at 54. And I did not have a show that aired last week because I was celebrating my 54th birthday. My birthday was on May 16th, and I had the opportunity to live a bucket list dream, which was to go to Africa. So I spent 10 days in Cairo, Luxor, and Anzar, Egypt. And it was a wonderful experience, and I will be sharing that in a later episode. But I wanted to talk this week about things that I've explored at 54, and just wanted to share some of the things that have been going on in my now. Now, one thing that I've been diligent about this year is talking about toolboxes, how we can respond to as opposed to react to things that are going on in our lives. And just like we have toolboxes for things that we do with regards to our vehicles, with regards to our homes, there are different tools that satisfy or repair different things that are going on in our life. And so I've been helping to fill those toolboxes for my clients and also for my listeners by talking about things that we can put in our spiritual, mental, and physical toolboxes. And it's important that we realize that it's not the same tools that apply for each one of those situations. There is some overlap that takes place, but most of the things that we do are going to have specific tools that are going to help us, again, to respond as opposed to react to the things that are happening in our lives. And so, in talking about the things that I've explored at 54, I'm going to give you some things to put into your personal toolboxes through the experiences that I've had so far. But there are 3 L's that I'm going to focus on this episode. And that's going to be talking about livelihood, love, and legacy, because those are the things that have rang true in my life so far in these 54 years that I've had. So I'm going to get into it, and I'm going to start first with livelihood. Okay, if you look up the definition of livelihood or get layman's terms on it, it says that it's a set of activities essential to everyday life that are conducted over one's lifespan. So I was thinking about livelihood, as I do every year. This becomes a time of reflection for me. What's going on in my life? Where am I at right now? What's the status? How am I feeling? What am I experiencing? And over the last couple of years, it's been life altering for me because I had lost 64 pounds almost 2 years ago now, and have had to go through the mental and the physical aspects that come along with that. And so being in a space of getting used to this new body, getting used to looking at myself through a different lens has been something that has been ongoing for these past 2 years. And so, you know, still getting uh, into this body and getting into what it's going to look like long term, because I've had a lot of swelling, I've had a lot of, water retention, and a lot of things that my body is still going through as I'm in perimenopause. There are just a lot of things that are going on, and trying to get used to being in this new space, in this new physical and in this new mental space, because there's a lot that comes with, going through a significant change like that. And so it's something that I'm still continuing to work through. So when I think about my livelihood, I'm thinking about my health and my wellness. And that's something that has been critical, in how I'm living my day to day, everyday life. I factored in exercise. That's something that is now a huge part of my everyday life. I wake up in the morning, 5:30 every day, working on getting my cardio or my strength training in, which is something that is huge for a person that's in their 50s. Strength training is huge. So that's something that I've been focusing on. I've been focusing on my diet. What am I putting in my mouth? And how is it affecting my livelihood? I even completed a course last year and to be a holistic nutritionist, because I wanted to understand the dynamics of what food is, how it affects my body, how different foods affect my body, and what are the things that are giving me nourishment, that are giving me strength, that are giving me or helping me to sustain an overall sense of wellness. That's something that's important to me. And so when I think about livelihood, I'm thinking about the exercise that I'm doing, the physical aspects, the things that are going into my physical toolbox, which are that exercise, that strength training. I have spinal stenosis, so I have to do exercise in a different way. I do a lot of my exercise seated. And so I have weights and kettlebells and yoga balls and all kinds of things that assist me in that. And so I think about those things as part of my essentials for my toolboxes for my everyday life. I have to make sure that I'm eating and that I'm planning my food, and I travel a lot. And so in my travel, am I being consistent in how I'm eating and being cognizant of the foods that I may not be preparing, but that are being prepared for me? And am I making the best choices with what's being offered where I am? And so that's something that's important. I also think about my livelihood with regards to my spirituality. I'm a minister, so I take time to make sure that I am in the Word, that I'm reading it. That's my daily bread. That's part of my livelihood. That's why I do my Tuesday every Tuesday, because I want to be able to bring to light a scripture verse that people can meditate on and that I've meditated on myself. And so it's taking time to figure out what I can do to nourish my spiritual body as well as my physical body. So I take time to do that. I take time to journal and write down my thoughts when I can. Sometimes I have issues with circulation in my hands and it's difficult for me to write. So what I do is I record some of those things, my thoughts, and I'll be sharing some of those at the end of this podcast. But um, it's really just looking at the activities. What I have explored at 54 is my endurance. What I've explored is that, and then what I've learned is that it's not just about how I physically look, because you can look great on the outside, but if you feel like garbage on the inside, is it benefiting you? It's not just enough to look good on the outside, but you've got to feel good on the inside. And there was a season where I was looking good, but I was feeling like garbage. I was not feeling well on the inside. And that's for me is important. These last couple of years for me have been about a sense of wellness. I did not feel well. Okay. So yeah, you can look great, but if you don't feel good, you're not doing yourself a good service. How are you serving yourself if you're not feeling good in lieu of just looking good? So it's important to make sure that you've got essential things set up every day that are going to help you to achieve that sense of wellness. That's what livelihood has meant for me. That's what I have been continuing to explore in this 54th year of my life. Am I feeling well? Tapping into myself and saying, am I feeling good? Am I feeling well? And when I say well, am I feeling well mentally? Am I feeling well spiritually? Am I feeling well physically? I'm asking myself those questions. And if I'm not, I'm starting to take steps to move in that direction. So that's something that I'm exploring. One thing that I've been exploring this year is a lot with lymph massages. I've been exploring, what it means when you're losing weight, visceral fat versus subcutaneous fat. What does that even mean? And am I doing things to regulate those, or am I relying on the scale? I used to be one who relied heavily on what the scale said. And if the number wasn't right, I was like, I'm not doing it, I'm failing. And I had to learn that, you can lose muscle in your effort to lose fat. And so it's important to understand what your body is doing. I've also been exploring with a former guest of mine, talking about checking your what is the word? I now, of course, I'm forgetting it. That's another part of aging and being in perimenopause. But being able to check my numbers that are going to help with uh, what's going on in my body. Am I oxygen? Am I getting enough oxygen? You know, the word will come to me, but there's another form of testing that I'm doing for my body to make sure that things are running well inside as well as outside. So again, it's not just about focusing on the exterior, but it's about focusing on the interior of your body. What are things doing inside, behind the scenes that you may not see? Because at my age, I'm realizing that a lot of my friends are losing their lives to high blood pressure, to stress, to hypertension, all kinds of things that are going on the inside that they may not necessarily see on the outside. So it's important that I'm taking a deeper dive into what's going on systematically inside my body. And that if there's something that's not feeling right, that I begin to address those things and that I ask those questions. That's something that's so important. You should be advocating with and partnering with your healthcare team to do what's best for what's going on in your body, and that you're able to get to a place where you're asking the questions that you need to ask so that you can advocate for your health. There are some of us who have gone to the doctor and said that we weren't feeling well, and they're just like, well, we've run every test and we don't see anything that's wrong. But clearly there's something that's going on, something that alerted us. Just like our car has those little indicator lights that come on to tell you that something's up, our bodies do the same thing. And so it's a matter of tapping into our bodies and knowing that when something doesn't feel right or something is off or something is just not, that we go and we ask the questions. We make up a co-payment when we go in to see our doctors. And then sometimes we just, they give us 10 minutes. If I'm paying you $40, I'm going to ask you $40 worth of questions. So I'm write things down, and I've learned in this 54th year of life to advocate for my health, because nobody's going to advocate for your health more than you. Ask those follow-up questions. Those are the things that I'm doing so that I'm clear on what's happening. It's hard to ask for help when you don't know what to ask for. So if I'm experiencing something and they say, well, everything looks fine, well, what else has these symptoms? Start asking those follow-up questions again so that you're advocating for your health. Never be afraid to ask for a second opinion because sometimes they may not be skilled in that. Some physicians, can give you the thing that you need to stop the pain, but you want to know what you can do that's going to help you to progress past that point long term. So it's important that you advocate for your health. That is part of your livelihood. That is part of those activities that you do. So, what are some of the things that you are doing to increase your livelihood, your level of wellness, your level of health? And that includes, like I said, those physical things, the exercise, the walking, the physical things, the eating, what are you eating? Are you cutting back on sugar? Are you cutting back on processed foods? Are you drinking enough water? Are you getting proper hydration? That is something that is so important and pivotal in your wellness. Okay. And then again, those spiritual things. What are you doing to provide daily bread for your soul? What are the promises that have been made to you? What are the things that you've read that help you when you get into those situations where you're feeling high stress? Do you know that you can lean on the Lord? Do you have a scripture verse that you can rely on or that you can go back to that reminds you of the promises that were made, of the sacrifices that were made on your behalf? These are all parts of things that are going to assist in your livelihood. And so that is the first L that I want to talk about. That's some of the things that I have explored in this 54th year of my life. What am I doing to increase my livelihood? What are the things that I'm doing that are going to help me to have a better sense of wellness over the span of my life? Okay, I have a grandmother who passed away a few years ago. She was 105. I hope to live half as long as she has. I'm already over that little marker, but it's important to know that I have legacy. I have a long history, and I plan to be here, and I want to be here. So what am I doing to ensure that I have just as long a life as my grandmother did? Okay. The second thing that I want to talk about is love. Mm. And that is that deep feeling of affection that we have. And there are all different kinds of love. We know we have, agape love, we have eros love, we have all types of love that we express to the people that are in our lives. And for me, and what I'm exploring in this 54th year of life is my relationships with my spouse, my relationship with my daughter and my granddaughter, with my extended family members, with my friends, with those who I associate with on a daily basis. What does love look like? And I think about the five love languages, and I know that there's a sixth one, but wasn't able to find that right away. And so if you know about it, put it in the comments, talk to me about that. But I think about those love languages, and that's something that's popular that people have gone through tests to find out what their love language is. And the five are, affirmation, quality time, physical touch, acts of service, and receiving gifts. And I've noticed that over the years, my love languages have changed, and it's not that they're always going to be static. Sometimes it depends on the station that you are in your life where you recognize that certain things mean more to you than others. And I'm at that stage in my life, especially in 54 years of life. I'm at that stage of really focusing in on quality time. My show is called How Now. Is being present and being able to really enjoy the things that are going on around me and not being so caught in the hustle and bustle that I don't stop to quote unquote smell the roses. So I'm taking time to really enjoy and experience fully the things that are happening right in my now. It was wonderful to go to Egypt and to experience what was happening right there. I disconnected. I made sure that I didn't answer any emails. I wasn't taking any calls. I enjoyed my experience in Egypt. I took time to look at the pyramids. I took time to take in the sights, sounds, and smells that were going on around me. And that was something that was so critical to me enjoying that time. I spent time with my husband. We got to spend time away from work and family and everything else and just got a chance to focus on each other and the shared experience that we had of being in Egypt. That was something that was wonderful. That was something that I will not soon forget. So it's, for me, that quality time is important. I also have a close second, that physical touch. I do a lot of traveling. Sometimes that traveling is independent. I'm not there with my husband. I've had to wrap myself in blankets because I realize how much that touch or that feeling of having, something against my skin to validate who I am is something that's important to me as well. I love to give hugs. Anyone who knows me knows I'm a hugger. Okay, I'm gonna hug you. I love the energy, what I feel. And so for me, sometimes that physical touch means a lot as well. And so it's focusing in on what is your love language? And are you expressing that to others so that way you're getting your needs met? We always hear you cannot pour from an empty cup. And so what are you doing to fill that cup? What are you doing that's going to take you to that place of overflow? And are you articulating that? Sometimes we just assume that people know what our love language is and we haven't expressed it to them. What I've explored at age 54 is being very vocal about the things that are important to me, the things that are going to fill my cup, realizing that no is a complete sentence and that I don't always have to please people, but I'm looking to see what are those things that I can do that are going to put me in that space of fulfillment so that I can pour into others. I love to be able to give. And so, what do I need to fill my tank? What does love look like for me? And that's something that I'm continuously exploring. How does that look like in my relationship with my husband? How does that look like in my relationship with my daughter, with my granddaughter? How does that look like? What does that look like with my family? I've been taking trips to go and see friends and loved ones, and it's been wonderful because I get to experience time with them, shared experiences with them, and that just intensifies my love for them. I'm always looking, what can I do to increase the quality of the relationships that I'm in? So that way they're not bitter. That way I'm not doing things that are creating animosity, but things that are creating love. Am I showing empathy and an understanding that people are going through the experiences that they're having? That's part of how I am creating loving relationships in all aspects of my life. What does it look like? And I'm beginning to define those things. And as I'm doing that, I find that I sleep so much more soundly because I'm taking time to do those things that are going to edify me so that I can pour into others and those relationships are strengthened and become more meaningful as time goes on. I have girlfriends that have been my friends since we were 16 years old. We have 30 plus years together of tears and joy and sadness and we've experienced life and death together, divorces, marriages. We've experienced so many things together. And I think about what is it that's kept those relationships going. And that's something that's important. As you get older, look at the relationships that you've been in, those ones that were positive and that brought you joy, and start saying, okay, those are the things that you want to emulate. Those are the things that you want to continue to do, so that way you're growing each one of the relationships that you have moving forward. And you're not putting yourself in that place of distress. or putting yourself in a place, again, of animosity because you're feeling forced to do something as opposed to doing something that you enjoy. So, with the things that I've explored in 54, with regards to love, what does it look like? Have I asked for it? And if I'm not receiving it, am I removing it? Am I removing the toxicity from my life that's existing, by, saying that this is no longer serving me? If it doesn't serve me, then I need to push it to the side. It's something that no longer needs to be a part of my life. And so I've done that over the course of the years. And now I'm at the point where, it's not even an issue anymore. It's more of just going and enjoying and spending time in that now and edifying those relationships. One thing that's important to think about, and my husband says this a lot often, how many more times am I going to get to see my parents? I live in Atlanta, my parents are in New York. How many more times? My dad is going to be 80 this year. My mom is 76. Okay. How many more times am I going to get to see them? If I only go and see them once a year, how many more times I have? 20? If they live that long? How many more times am I going to get to go and see them? So it's important that I take time to contact them, to talk with them, to talk with my friends and my loved ones, to find out what's going on with them, to visit with them, to vacation with them. These are the times to do those things so that way I have those experiences to remember. I can't remember them if I'm too busy lifing, that I don't take time to enjoy them and to express my love for them. So that's something that's important. That's something that I've learned in 54. Think about how many times you're going to have to spend with your loved ones. And if that time is short, you want to take time now to go and make that extra trip. If you're thinking about to make that extra call to find out how they're doing, connect with them. Don't wait until you get that call and find out that they're no longer here. So it's important for us to live out that love and to be sure that we're letting people know what our love language is so that it's met, so that we don't come up short, because it's hard to give if you're not in the place of receiving what it is that you need. Okay. And then finally, talking about legacy. Okay. Legacy is a long lasting impact of a particular event or action that took place in a person's life. And for me, in this 54th year of life, what legacy am I leaving for my daughter, for my grandbaby? What is the legacy? So many times of late, I have had to, I've heard that a friend's loved one or a loved one of my own has passed. And hear that someone has passed away, what I typically say is, may their life and legacy always be celebrated, honored, and remembered. You know? And it makes me think of my own mortality. What is the legacy that I'm leaving? With every year that passes, I think about that. What is the legacy that I'm leaving for my daughter and for my grandbaby? I've been blessed to have written a couple of books. And so I have things that are tangible that they'll be able to go back and read and say, my mom or my grandma wrote this. That's something that can't be taken away. The pages may burn, but once they've been read, they're there, they're out there. And so I have that legacy of being able to share my writings. I have the legacy of this show, of being able to share my thoughts and for them to be able to go back and see recordings of things that I said or experiences that I've had. We have legacies in pictures, so many pictures, whether through Google or whether through pictures that people have, taken themselves. These are all parts of our legacy. These are pieces of us that people will be able to piece together and say, this is what that person did. This is what I did. I'll be able to share the pictures and the experiences from Egypt. You know, so much of our legacy has been lost because the storytellers didn't have ways of recording, or those recordings have been destroyed. And so, what kind of legacy are we leaving that is not just tangible, but also that we're leaving mentally for our family members, for our friends, where they can say, oh, you know what? Kim always said this. Or, you know, if Kim was here, she would have said that. What are the legacies that we're leaving for people that they can carry with them mentally as well as physically? What are the things that we're telling them? What are the things that they're seeing that they can say are evidence of our life? What are those things that we're doing? And how are they uh, going to carry on? So, in this year of exploration for me, for the year 54, what is the legacy that I'm leaving? Have I taught my daughter the things that she needs to know that are going to help her when I'm gone? Have I prepared her for the life that's to come for her, for the experiences that are to come for her? Yes, she has to figure out some things on her own, but what are some things that I can leave for her that when I'm not here, she can continue to carry on? What is the mantle that I'm creating that she can carry on and that my granddaughter can carry on when I'm long gone? Those are the things that I'm thinking about. I think about this show. I think about my books. I think about the experiences that I've had and that I've shared with her. And a lot of that is going to come through the storytelling. A lot of that is going to come through telling her about my past and my thoughts and my dreams. So that way, if I'm no longer here to carry them out, if it's something that is important to her, she can carry that out as well. Sometimes we become very closed and sheltered and protective of the things that are going on. And then when we fall ill, people know nothing about us. They know nothing about our experiences. But it's so important that we share our life, things that have gone on in our past and things that we're dreaming about in the future, so that way again, if we're at a place where suddenly we're no longer here, someone else can say, well, you know, something I know that my mom loved, or something I know that my niece or my daughter or my auntie, things that they wanted to do. I know that she wanted to do this, and I want to seek to carry that on. How are they going to know your wishes if they don't even know your dreams? So it's so important that we take time to focus on, you know, the legacy that we want to leave, and that we share that with someone, and that we don't take it to our grave and no one ever knows the joy or the thoughts or the inventions or the things that were in our mind's eye if we don't share them. So it's important to share your legacy so that way those who are still here can carry on those things that are important to you. So it's important that we think about our livelihood, our love, and our legacy. All of these things are so important as we age. You know, I think about again, 54 years of life. I'm glad to be here. I had a dear friend who's lost a loved one, a sibling, just a few days ago. And you know, you think about what was his legacy. I think about, how did he love? How did he live? We all tend to think about those things when someone gets to a point where they're no longer here. I tend to reflect on that. How did they live? Was it the way that they were living that was a part of why they're no longer here? Did it have something to do with the relationship that they had, if they're no longer here? Did it have something to do with their legacy? How does it affect their legacy that they're no longer here? These are questions that I've asked myself, and these are things that I'm continuing to explore in this 54th year of life. And I'm learning so much as I'm going through. And I'm hoping that as I'm filling my toolboxes, I'm filling yours as well with things that you may not have thought about, or things that you know and say, hey, I've been there, done that, and I can share that. Be willing to share that. Share that with your legacy. Share that with those who are coming up behind you. Again, create the mantle for someone else to pick up and carry on where you left off. It's important. It's important that we look at our lives right now and say, what's happening right now? What's happening today in this moment? And is this something that is feeding my livelihood? Is what I'm doing right now an act of love? Is what I'm doing right now going to be a part of a legacy that I can be proud of and that can be carried on long after I'm gone? These are the questions that we can ask ourselves. These are the questions that I've asked myself. And I'm just going to continue each and every day to be a better version of myself based on those 3 L's. Is what I'm doing helping my livelihood? Are the everyday activities that I'm doing, are they essential to my well-being and my health? Am I loving on people the way I should? The Bible tells us, love your neighbor as yourself. Am I loving with God's love? Do I have forgiveness? Am I showing empathy? Am I being understanding that one person's situation is not my experience, but that's their experience? And I respect that. Do I value those around me? Am I treating them the way that I want to be treated? Those are the kinds of questions again that I ask. Am I leaving my legacy? Am I doing those things that are going to help to carry on my name long after I'm gone? Have I left a footprint? Have I had an impact that was positive on those around me? When I'm gone, you know, are they still going to remember, honor, and celebrate my life? That's a lot. That's a lot. But I'm grateful to be here. I'm grateful for the interactions that I've had. I'm grateful for the people that I've met. I'm grateful for the lives that I've touched. And my hope is that I continue to do that in years to come, for as many years as I am blessed to be here. So again, as you're coming up on your next birthday, if your birthday has passed already, or if it's coming up, begin to reflect on these things. And what are some of the things that you can put in your toolbox to make those things a reality? Okay, I've got in my spiritual toolbox, I've got my Bible, I've got my journal, I've got my little electronic Bible, things that I can carry with me when I'm not able to tangibly hold that Bible. I have those things in my spiritual toolbox. Bible studies, scripture verses to remember, things of that nature. In my physical toolbox, I've got that exercise plan. I've got my eating plan, things that I'm doing. And I'm changing those things as my body changes. As you age, sometimes the things you used to be able to eat no longer agree with you. I've taken time to go and find a meal plan that works for me, and that's something that's ever changing, just like my exercise ever changing. You'll learn that the body is a beast. Okay, it can adapt to different things. It changes. There are certain things that your body becomes used to, and then they're no longer effective, and you begin to plateau, and all kinds of things that are going on. So there's always something to explore. Okay, that's the excitement of living this life. We are in an age of technology. We have so many things that are available and open to us. And we just have to be willing to be open-minded enough to explore them as they come. Okay, sometimes the way that we've done things for years, there may be a better way to do it. Just like they say, there's more than one way to skin a cat. Okay, so sometimes there are different ways that we can do things, and we have to be open and willing to explore those things. So in all that we're doing, another L that we can rely on is to let go and let God. Okay? Let go of some of the old ways of thinking. Let go of those things, again, that are no longer serving us. Letting go of those things that are doing more harm to our bodies than good. And just taking time to walk in that. To let go of those things that are not serving us so that we have a new lease on life. It's important that we take time to do that. So think about that. Your livelihood, the love that you have, and the love that you desire, and the legacy that you're leaving for those who are going to be here to carry it on when you're gone. Okay, so I hope that this was enjoyable, that you got some information that or some thoughts that can help you as you reflect on your life, as you reflect on your wellness journey, and that you've had some things to put into each one of your toolboxes that is going to help you, again, to respond and not react to the things that are going on around you. What are you doing to create a life worth living? If you want to talk more about this, if you want to schedule a consultation with me, make sure that you reach out to me. Again, www.hownowpodcast.com. And there's a contact area where you can reach out or leave a comment, and I'm happy to explore the possibilities with you. Now, I'm going to leave a little clip from some reflections that I had in my last day in Egypt, and I hope that you enjoyed that. And this has been such a pleasure to spend time with you, to let you get a little taste of my world, things that are going on in my now, and things that I've explored at 54. So with that, I'll leave you the clip from Egypt. And until I see you all the next time, I see people. Good morning, good morning. I am back in Cairo. This will be our last full day in Cairo. We got to visit the Hanging Church and some of the beautiful synagogues that they have in Old Cairo. But here I am at my hotel, one last view again of the city of Cairo. It is Sunday, which is their first work day. So you see the traffic there. And then to the other side here is part of the Nile River. This has been such a beautiful experience to see the culture, to see the history of ancient Egypt, to see the turbines that they use for water and electricity. We saw so many things here that have just been, memorable, But I learned some other things as well that I'd like to share, just a few insights. And that being that, everything is about mindset. Everything that you do It's about mindset and about things that come from within. Okay? I was excited about coming here to Egypt. I was excited about the downloads that I would get from the ancestors here. But you know what I realized? It doesn't matter where you are in the world. If you don't have joy in your heart, if you don't have a different mindset, it doesn't matter where on earth you are. If you don't take that with you, whatever energies, whatever anxieties, whatever preconceptions, everything else, all of those things that you have going on within you, you'll take them with you wherever you go. So remember, it matters nowhere. It doesn't matter where you are in the world, whether I'm at home in Georgia or whether I'm halfway across the world in Cairo, Egypt. If my mindset doesn't change, if my heart doesn't change, those things are going to follow me wherever I go. Now, when I go, I have to be open-minded so that way those things that are in front of me, those things that I'm looking at and that I'm experiencing, the sights, the smells, the sounds, I'll remember those things. But if my mindset has not changed, that joy that comes from within still won't be present here. So remember that it doesn't matter where you are in this world. If you don't change your mindset, you aren't opening yourself to receive all that you're supposed to receive in this life, in this world. Anything that you're seeking to do is going to come from within. So come with an open mind and an open heart. Carry that with you wherever you go, and it will never fail you. That's what needs to go in your toolbox. These bucket list things, if you're not in the right state of mind, you won't be able to receive what it is that you'll get on the other side. Coming to these temples and to these beautiful churches was such an experience for me because I already had in my heart who I am as a Christian and who I follow and who is source in my life. So when I went to those churches and looked in the cathedrals and the synagogues and the nunneries and places that we visited today, they meant so much to me because it was already in my heart. It was already in my mind. It was already in my spirit. So I was able to absorb it. But if I wasn't in the right frame of mind, I wasn't in that space, there would just be another building. So it's what you prepared yourself for. What have you put in that spiritual, mental, and physical toolbox that prepares you for whatever happens anywhere you go in this world? Remember that. Keep that in mind. It's your mindset. It's your heart set. What are you going to do different? And if you're not looking to do anything different, again, it doesn't matter where in the world you are. Things are going to remain the same. That was my biggest insight. And I hope that you will carry that with you and put that in your toolbox so that when you go places, you can take in and experience the now of everywhere you are because your mindset is where it needs to be.